Hello guys, in today's video I would like to show you one very interesting game between ex-world champions Jose Raul Capablanca and Alexander Alekhine. White pieces have Capablanca and he played d4, d5, c4, c6. So Slav defense. In this video we continue our observation of this opening. In my previous video I show you modern line which play Magnus Carlsen with idea knight h4. Today we can focus on classical MERAN variation, e3, knight f6, knight f3, e6. Here of course theory recognize move knight c3, which play many times in a theory, and after knight bd7, bishop d3, d takes, bishop takes, b5, bishop d3, a6, e4, c5, e5, c takes, knight b5, a takes, and this position play many times, actually a couple times in a match between Anand and Kramnik. Anand played with black pieces and he won two most important games in that match, and actually because that games he won a match, because that two games Anand won with black pieces, and that was completely decided result of this match, because that two games was most important. But in today's video I would like to show you guys knight bd2 line, because knight bd2 line is very old line. Capablanca created that move, that was his pattern, and the most important idea of move knight bd2 is actually when the black continue with the knight bd7, bishop d3, bishop e7. Now if black takes on c4, what black usually doing in a main line would play in a match between Anand and Kramnik, and now it's a very big difference, because knight can take with c4, knight can take on c4, and now he can control the e5. So in a case if black play b5, after knight c5, black must protect pawn on c6, castle, a6. So let's see what's happening in this game. a4, bishop d6, b3, queen b8, bishop b2. Now we can see c5 idea is almost impossible, because always hang pawn on b5. So black continue with the b takes, c5, rook b1, queen c7, queen c2, rook c8, rook fc1, castle, queen e2, rook a8, knight d7, knight d7, d takes c5, bishop f3, queen f3, bishop h2 check, king h1, bishop e5. Must move the bishop, otherwise white will play simply g3 and close that bishop. So white continue bishop a3, bishop f6, queen b7. Endgame is totally winning for white, because the c pawn is very dangerous. So white won that game in a 31 move. That was actually game between Grandmaster Glenn Fleer and Brist, playing South Africa 2011. So let's go back to the after queen b7, queen e5, bishop b2, bishop h4, queen d7, bishop f2. Black sacrifice piece, but after queen d4, queen g5, queen f4, bishop e3, queen g5, bishop g5, rook d1, rook c8, bishop f3, rook a7, bishop b7. Grandmaster Glenn Fleer won that game pretty much easy. So after bishop d3, idea of move, that was actually the main idea of Capablanca pattern, knight bd2. He fight against main black idea, d takes c4, and that's why knight bd2 deserve a lot of attention. Knight BD2 still exists in a modern theory, so you can see many grandmasters use old Capablanca pattern and idea, Knight BD2. When he prepared for his match against Alexander Alekhine, he worked on this line very much, and in that match he won two very important games in this line. So anyway, we can go back to the bishop e7. Of course, instead of bishop e7, we also have here interesting move, bishop d6, which play in a game Yakovenko and Drago Mirescu. So in that game, played last year, very recent game, White continued with the castle, castle e4. He opened position in the center, d takes, knight takes, knight takes, bishop takes, knight f6, bishop g5, h6, bishop takes, queen takes, c5, bishop c7, rook e1. Black have a problem with the bishop c8 and rook a8. So rook d8, queen b3, g5, rook a d1, king g7, queen c3. Obviously White get the clear advantage, and later he won that game. So we can go back to the bishop e7, what actually play in the game. Castle, castle, queen c2. Here White can also play, instead of Capablanca, play queen c2, but actually also very interesting idea was e4, what play ex-world champion Anatoly Karpov against Pomagalski. Let's look that game. D takes e4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop e4, knight f6, bishop c2, c5. In this line, of course, Black also have a problem to develop his pieces on the queen side, and that was his main problem. Queen e2, queen c7, d takes c5, bishop d7, bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, g5. This move is not good, because after that Black will have a problem for his king side. Bishop g3, queen c5, knight e5, rook a d8, b4, queen to c8. In a case if Black takes on b4, White can simply continue with the rook a b1, and White is clear better. So let's go back to the queen c8, a3, king g7, f4. After this crashing move, Karpov completely crashed the king side. Knight e8, f takes, h takes, queen h5. Many threats on the king side now, like this idea, like this idea. So it's very hard position for Black. f5, queen g6, king h8, knight f7, rook f7, queen f7, and White won that game pretty much easy. So let's go back to the queen c2. e4 was also interesting here, so Karpov played that move. So after queen c2, d takes c4. Instead of d takes c4, interesting idea here was b6 and c5. So we can wait here and look first c5. On c5, c takes, e takes, b3. This is the best plan for White, because in a previous video when I talk about Slav patterns, I talk about hanging pawns in the center, d5 and c5 pawns, and which pattern use Kasparov. In this game, White was Dolezal, international master, against Endler, and he used the same Kasparov pattern, b6, bishop b2. Who watched my previous video, he can see and remember the same pattern. Bishop b7, rook a c1, rook c8, queen b1, rook e8, knight e5, h6, and that was a pattern which used Kasparov in that game. C takes, e takes, rook c1, knight f8, knight f1, bishop d6, knight g3. So bishop on f5 make a lot of pressure on the queen side. Knight e6, rook e1, queen c7, queen d3, knight c5, d takes c5, bishop takes c5, c takes b6, a takes b6, bishop b5, rook e5, rook e5, queen e5. White have a better chance in this position. Queen e2, queen e7, bishop d3, knight e4, knight f1, f5, f3, queen c5, queen e3, d4, queen e2, knight e6, queen e6 check, king h7, h4, bishop c8, queen e1, bishop d7, a4, b5, b4, queen c3, d takes, a5. Endgame is very hard for black. Knight c4, king f2, g6, knight e3, knight e5, king e2, bishop e6, bishop e5, and white on that game. So that's happened in a case if black plays c5. Of course, probably black missed some better moves, but that move also not satisfy black strategy, black position. So after d takes c4, we can also look here move b6. I think that move deserves a lot of attention, and I think probably that was the best move in this moment. b6 in a game Grandmaster Chom and Bideki in a Budapest 2001, white play knight e5, but interesting and look like a better idea here. e4, d takes, knight takes, bishop b7, h3, knight e4, bishop e4, knight f6, bishop f4. This idea was, of course, here white can also keep hold the bishop, but after c5 probably black easy equalized position. So here only way is to keep the pressure on b7. So after queen e4, knight e4, queen c8, rook fe1, c5, d5, white is probably position is probably equal, but d pawn is quite dangerous. So I give a slightly better chance for white here because dangerous d pawn. But probably b6 idea is the best. Grandmaster Chom play knight e5, and after bishop b7, c takes, knight c6, bishop c6, queen c6. He get the bishop pair, and he have a better chance in this game. Rook c8, queen a4, rook c7, rook d1, bishop d6, knight f1, queen e7, bishop d2, knight b8, queen b3, knight c6, rook ac1, rook c8, bishop a6, rook d8, queen a4, knight b8, rook c7, queen c7, rook c1, queen e7. White completely take the c file and stay better, but later the game finish draw in 45 moves. So let's go back to the d takes c4 idea. Knight c4, that's the game now. Capablanca Harikain. Harikain plays c5, knight c5. Now of course black don't have time for b6 because knight c6, and then in that case black lose a bishop pair. C takes, e takes. Capablanca won theoretical battle, and his pattern with the knight bd2 completely gets successful. Knight b6, knight g5, g6, knight gf3, king g7, bishop g5, knight bd5, rook ac1, bishop d7, queen d2, knight g8, bishop e7, queen e7, bishop e4. Idea is very simply, white want to take a knight on d5 and penetrate with the rook on the 7th rank. Bishop b5, rook fe1, queen d6, bishop d5, e takes d5. Queen d5 was not good because after rook c5 black lose a piece, so he must take with the e pawn, and after queen a5 obviously Capablanca is very close to win this game because he make pressure on the bishop and the 7th rank. So I can play only move a6, queen c7, rook c7, h6. This is final mistake. Position is very hard. clear advantage for white. Very hard to give any advice here. What was better? Maybe rook a b8, but position is anyway still very hard. Then knight g5, so too many threats here, like this, so it's very dangerous. Black decided to play this move: h6, rook b7, rook c8, b3, rook c2, a4, bishop b2, knight h4, h5, knight g6, rook e8, rook f7, king h6, f4, a5, knight h4, rook e5. Capablanca threats mate here, so this was only move. Rook e5, f takes, king g5, g3, king g4, rook g7, king h3, knight g2, and Ali Khan resigned because he cannot protect knight f4, checkmate. So guys, in this video we look knight bt2 old pattern in a Slav MERAN variation. I hope this video will help this opening line who play with white and have dilemma what to play against MERAN Slav. Thank you for watching my video and see you soon. Bye.